Maintaining roads and drainage is a never-ending process for public sector employees because while you sleep, there's two forces that never do: traffic and Mother Nature. The loading from traffic and Mother Nature in the form of rain and other forms of weather can not only deteriorate the road surface, as you can see here behind me where the driveway begins, but it can also plug the drainage. Not only can the silt and other material that's washed away from the road plug up culverts, as you see here behind us, but weeds and other vegetation can also interfere with drainage and can cause blockage. In this video, we'll talk a little about the maintenance of the roads with special attention to controlling vegetation.
Today we are going to review the infrastructure of county roads and will touch on inspecting, maintaining, and designing them. We will cover when to inspect and what to look for. We will go into how the type of vegetation or lack of vegetation and how you maintain it will affect the durability of a road as well as how shade affects it. We will discuss the crown of the road and drainage on and alongside the road. We will also view and discuss a reclaimed county road. This is a typical county road. The best time to check roads is right after it rains because you can see all the weak places and all the places that are ponding water. Address those areas because water will eventually settle into whatever cracks are in the road. It will penetrate into the road base and into the subgrade, causing potholes. Here are potholes. When you see places like this, take action. Observe what is holding water and not holding water. What is performing or not performing. Obviously, these ditches are not performing well because of the debris in the ditch plus the Johnson grass. Eradicate that if at all possible. Speaking of plants, here is vegetation growing up on the edge of the road. Vegetation is detrimental to the pavement. It does not hold the pavement together. Kill the vegetation with herbicides, the probe herbicides, at the proper time of the year. Herbicide control is essential. Up the road to the right is Johnson grass, which is a noxious weed. It is shading the native grasses like Bermuda grass, which is what is needed to address soil retention in the drainage ditches. Johnson grass does not have a good root system, therefore get rid of it and other noxious weeds like bloodweeds. A good native grass will control or help aid in erosion problems in drainage ditches. A good native grass in East Texas is coastal Bermuda, which is right here, but remember, grass in the pavement is detrimental to the pavement. Grass belongs in the ditches to control erosion. Above the ditch is Johnson grass, which is undesirable vegetation. It will not enhance erosion control whatsoever. If anything, it is detrimental to the native grasses because it shades them and inhibits them from growing. Here, Johnson grass is not doing anything but stopping up the debris, which prevents good drainage in the ditches. Here, the drainage is stopped up by limbs, brush, and debris. Without good drainage of the road, it does not matter how good the base or subgrade is, eventually the road is going to be lost because the water has got to drain. If it does not drain into the ditches, it is going to soak up underneath the road. It will percolate or go underneath the road where the subgrade is, which makes it soft, and that is going to go up through the base and the road will deteriorate. Drainage is one of the most overlooked issues in road design and maintenance. Drainage is not considered until there is a big rain and water is all over the road and soaking into it. Here is an example of a culvert that is not functioning due to the grass and the debris. It has obviously not been cleaned out in years. It is stopped up at both ends. That is why the vegetation is waist high. The upper end drains the entire opposite side of the road, which includes several acres of land. That has not functioned in years. Water cannot go through this plastic culvert because it's not functioning. It's stopped up. The water has got to go somewhere, and that is downhill. When it disperses, it is going to soak up underneath the road because it can't go anywhere else. That is what happens to the road when the drainage ditch is not functioning properly. The water has got to go somewhere, so it is soaking up underneath the road into the subgrade and eventually into the base, and then the road gets potholes and base failures. You can see those two culverts are functioning. They are wide open. All of that water is coming from uphill. This one has a limb that if someone does not move out will stop up. That is a good example of a non-functioning drainage ditch. You can see water is ponding about 10 or 15 feet this side of that culvert end. Limbs, water, and shade are a road's enemies. They are detrimental to the pavement. Shade on the road prevents the road from drying properly after a rain event. So, eliminate as much brush, shade, and limbs as possible. Here, the road maintenance crew used a boom axe or some kind of a device to cut the brush back from the road to give that road as much sunshine as possible. Maintenance crews may have to use an aerial device, which can be expensive, in areas where there are tall trees. As stated earlier, a good time to check a road is after it rains, because then it is easier to identify problems or future problems caused by the design of the road. Anytime there is a road, such as this, which is a flat road, there are going to be potholes. There are going to be base failures. You can see the potholes. You can see the wheel path that is creating or about to create a base failure where it pooches out, for lack of a better term. There is no crown whatsoever on this road. Whatever rain falls from the sky is going to go right into that road wherever there are cracks. That is detrimental to the base and subgrade. So, a 4% crown is what is needed, at least a 4% crown, which equates to a ½ inch per foot fall from the center of the road, which is what we call the crown. This is an example of a flat road with no crown at all. Here is an example of a base failure. Where there isn't good drainage from the road and there is a pothole retaining water, the water is going to soak down into the base. That is base pumping up through that pothole. When it weakens the base, as it has done here, it is going to pooch out or push out. There is another example of base failure up the road. When you see those base failures, bridging over, which will be covered shortly, or overlaying them is just a waste of time. To repair it, you are going to have to remove and replace with good base and then seal over that to waterproof it. Here is an example of a county road that does not have very much right-of-way. Right-of-way is necessary to establish drainage and so forth. What are the options when there is limited right-of-way? Bridge over and build this road up to help preserve it. Where drainage can't be established, bridge over, which is to build it up in lifts through RAP, reclaimed asphalt pavement, rejuvenated of course, or a hot mix, which is expensive, or a cold mix, and then chip seal to waterproof it. This is a prime example of a county road that has gone through reclamation. They took the existing base and the existing pavement and they reclaimed it. They processed it all together. They added Portland cement to it to add stabilization, and then they put a 2-inch hot mix overlay on it. Due to the increased population density, continuing construction, and addition of an industrial park, they had to beef up the existing pavement. There is a 4% crown for drainage. The drainage has been addressed. They striped it because of the heavy traffic. It carries several hundred cars a day. The striping is for safety, and it is a good quality thermoplastic striping. The hot mix used provides a good quiet ride that has the strength to hold up to heavy automobile and truck traffic. The brush is cut back. You can see there is no brush, and they did vegetation control. Desirable vegetation, native grass with soil retention qualities for erosion control, is planted in the drainage ditches. One thing that might be done to further improve this road is to put a wide edge stripe on it to prevent cars from breaking off the edge of the pavement and to give motorists an edge line to go by, which is a safety factor. Remember, roads must be maintained. Inspect drainage, vegetation control, and pavement preservation. The best time to inspect is after a rain because it is easier to identify any deficiencies in the pavement like hairline cracks, fatigue cracks, potholes, and/or base failures. Earmark those deficiencies and come back and fix them before they get larger. When it comes to maintenance activities, be proactive, not reactive. Identify the problems and address them before drainage issues destroy the road or a heavy rain turns the road into a flood area.
Now this is too large a topic to cover in a video of this length, but if you would like more information or training, the University of Texas at Arlington LTAP program would be more than happy to help you. Please feel free to call us at the information provided below on the screen.